So, yesterday, after I guess Israel signed this whole wonderful, I guess you want to call it a ceasefire, where, we cease and they fire, got into a discussion with some friends of mine, where friends with whom I'm 95% in agreement on things. And some friends of mine said, listen, Tzvi, why are you ragging on Iron Dome? If not for Iron Dome, we would have had way, way, way more casualties. These wars, and who's to say that Iron Dome is not from Hashem as well? I'm like, okay, you could say that. You could say that Iron Dome is from Hashem. You could also say that Iron Dome is almost like when a kid messes up and the parent is figures out a way how to give the kid a get out of jail free card, right? But the thing is, guys, the get out of jail free card situation only lasts so long. A good parent knows that if you keep on giving the kid outs, giving the kid an out every time he screws up, the kid is going to be basically, he's going to grow up to be basically a cripple, right? He's going to grow up to be reliant on the stuff that you give him, and he's not necessarily going to solve the problem. You could say, he's just going to rely on you. Again, there are things that the parent can do for the kid to build the kid's, so to speak, reliance or self-sufficiency. Obviously, in this case, we have to have a Emunah on Hashem, right? And there are things he can do to basically turn the kid into a cripple and not solve the problem and keep screwing up. My friends, Iron Dome is, I can't even say that it's Hashem enabling us. Obviously, Eino Milvado, everything's from Hashem. We are an alcoholic. Iron Dome is our crutch. Iron Dome enables us not to solve the problem. What is the problem? The fact that we have a thing called Hamas, Islamic Jihad. Again, for me, these guys are all one kind of basket. Different groups with the same goal, essentially, more or less. You read their respective charters, slight variations, same endpoint, right? We're not solving the problem. Guys, you see, politicians go on, Lapid, it doesn't matter who it is, Lapid, Netanyahu, Bennett, we have quelled the threat, and now we can sleep peacefully. Really, we can sleep peacefully. Really. Have you spoken to the residents of Sderot? Have you spoken to the residents of Ofakim? Have you spoken to the residents of Netivot? Have you spoken to the residents of Beersheba? Who have anywhere between 15 seconds to maximum maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds, tops a minute to get into safety, into a bomb shelter. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand, Tel Aviv gets rockets too, but guys, there's an imminent threat in the south of Israel. You're not going to give away that land. And then if we give away that land, Chas v'shalom, then the south of the country becomes essentially Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. We're not going to keep shrinking the land, obviously, right? We have to, if anything, we have to expand. My friends, we're not solving the problem. And we're perpetuating this. Why? How? By having Iron Dome. Or the Iron Klipa. The Iron Umbrella, the Iron Klipa. It's a Klipa. You guys learn Kabbalah? It's a Klipa. It's a husk. It's something we have to get rid of. It's figurative and literal. Guys, the second aspect, this is a question I asked today, or yesterday, but today even more so. I started wondering, why is it that Egypt, who designated Egypt as the main go-between between Israel and these Amaleks, namely Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad? Why Egypt? Well, you could say the first answer, as my friend Frank said yesterday, the basic answer is Gaza's right next to Egypt, right? And the Egyptians, my friends, I don't know if you know this, people get upset at Israel for this and that and the other. The Egyptians, if anybody climbs over the fence from Gaza and tries to get into Egypt, the Egyptian army is ordered to shoot them on sight. It doesn't matter if it's an Arab coming from from Gaza, It doesn't matter if it's any kind of African, Eritrean, Ethiopian, Sudanese coming from the south, from Sudan, or Ethiopia, or Eritrea. They don't care. They have instructions to shoot them on sight. I met a guy once on the bus, a soldier. He was telling me, Israeli soldier, how they were doing duty next to Egypt, the Egyptian border, even south of Gaza, right? And there were bodies being thrown over the fence by the Egyptians into Israel. Either either Africans who were dead, injured, wounded. Like, some remained alive and got to stay in Israel. Some of them were dead. They're like, here, you bury them. Here, Israel, you bury them. Ladies and gentlemen, okay? Egyptians have a simple solution for themselves, right? So they're the go-between. They don't want any trouble. They don't want any issues, right? But if you guys are wondering why Egypt, well, guys, most of the people in Gaza who live in Gaza are actually Egyptians. People with the last name Al-Masri and other similar Egyptian last names, okay? Again, you could go on YouTube, you can find a Hamas representative in Gaza screaming to Egyptian television, asking them, hey guys, why don't you send us electricity? Why don't you send us water? Why are Western powers, why is Israel sending us electricity, controlling our electricity and water? We are your, literally, Muslim brothers, not organization, but your actual brothers. We are Egyptian, we are Saudi, we are Syrian, Lebanese. Why are you not sending us supplies, my friends? My friends, these people are actually belong to another country. Just like the Palestinians who live in the West Bank, most of them are Lebanese, Syrian, part of Syria, part of Lebanon tribes, Iraq, Saudi, Yemen, okay? Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria. You can go by the last names, guys. I read them off yesterday on the podcast. Most Gazans are Egyptian. He screamed at them. He said, guys, why don't you help us? Guys, you know why they're not helping them? Because they don't care about them. They want to use them as a pawn for a perpetual conflict against Israel. And we the schmucks, we think that this wonderful Iron Dome that is funded, supposedly somehow funded by America, is wonderful, fantastic, and this is how we're going to live out the rest of our existence until Mashiach comes. We're just going to rely on this in the Kippad Barzel, and we're going to have these wars and skirmishes with these Amalekites, literally Amalekites, even though you could say they're Ishmael, they're Amalek at this point. They behave like Amalek, okay? And we're happy to do it. We're happy to do it. And it wasn't enough of a message. I mean, guys, as a frum Jew, you live in that consciousness. It's so obvious to us, right, that this war happened on the day that we observed, or it literally started actually on Tisha B'Av, and it really got into it on the day that we observed Tisha B'Av, and even on the next day, when they broke the ceasefire. When they didn't even break it, they never held it to begin with. On the following day when temple still burned until Hatzot, right? Guys, I mean, to us it's obvious. For some reason, somehow, it wasn't obvious to the majority of the Israeli government, except for maybe the Haredim and the Dati Lumi and the other Frumis. Okay? Maybe Netanyahu, sorta. Yeah, I guess. Bennett, maybe. Lapid, no. Gantz, no. Mikhaeli, no. Who else? All these other lefties, they don't care. They don't care. It's Tisha B'Av. Oh, there's a warrant. What's Tisha B'Av? What? My friends, Hashem sent us an obvious message. Just like we pulled our people out of their homes on Tisha B'Av, out of Gush Katif, out of the very place where, that basically, because we pulled them out of there, we've had wars for 17 years. Hashem is sending us a message. Just finish this. It's come full circle. You just had a war, mamash, on Tisha B'Av, and the day after and 2 days after. I'm sending you a clear message. Finish these guys and put people back in their homes when you pull them out from those, the homes you pulled them out from, back to that area. Take back Gaza, and enough with these people, okay? They want to go live somewhere, let them go live in Egypt. Yeah, just like they're Egyptian, just like Yasser Arafat is from Egypt, okay? You can be found in photos with Nasser, Gamal Abdel Nasser, and the guy after him, I forget his name, the guy before Sisi, who was deposed in 2011. And pictures with Saddam Hussein. Why are you in pictures with Saddam? I thought this is like a separate country, Palestine. My friends, you understand that these are all Arab tribesmen, right? These are all Arab tribesmen, Arab strongmen, or try to be. And they sometimes, once in a while, band together to destroy Israel. But now, some of these countries that went to war with us in the 60s and 70s saw that if they go to direct military conflict with us, we're going to beat their you-know-what, okay? So they realized, maybe it's easier just to be in perpetual conflict and use these Fakistinians as a pawn. We don't care about them anyway. They're the you-know-what kickers of the Arab world. We're just going to use them as a pawn in a perpetual war. We're not going to help them. We have all the land in the world. We can help them in Egypt and Saudi and Lebanon. My friends, you know that if you go to Lebanon, Palestinians cannot, like teachers, can only teach in Palestinian-only schools. Palestinian children can only learn in Palestinian-only schools. They have real apartheid in Lebanon. In Lebanon, Syria, same story. My friends, you know how many Palestinian refugees are in Syria? You know how many Palestinian refugees are in Lebanon? My friends, 80% of Jordan, Palestinian tribesmen. Jordan is effectively Palestine. So is Syria. My friends, you know that 100 years ago, Arab protesters that were holding up signs that said, Palestinian, we are all Syrian. My friends, they do not belong in our land. We have to do what we have to do. We have to stop with this Iron Dome nonsense, which is basically still keeping us on the teat, on the I don't know, umbilical cord of America and the West. And we think the West is going to like us, which they hate us. Europe and parts of America as well. Not all of America. Certain people in America. Okay? My friends, this Iron Dome thing is a crutch. You think it's from Hashem, you think it's a Hesed, you think it's this. We screwed up. Yeah, though I had a friend say we screwed up, so Hashem gave us a Hesed. At this point, it's not a Hesed, guys. At this point, it's not a Hesed. At this point, we have to do what we have to do. We have to take care of business. We really have to take care of business. Now that we have a thing that defends our, we could easily send in troops. There are people, my friends, my friend Frank was saying this, and I'm not going to be armchair general here, but there are people in our country, and this is something that Moshe Feiglin's been talking about. We need to have a professional army. Volunteer professional army. People who were in the army before. People who were in their late 20s, early 30s, and even mid 30s and 40s. Yes, to just go and do this one, like the Expendables, these guys come out of retirement and do this one mission, like one last mission. We take care of what we need to take care of, and that's it. Instead of sending these little kids who have everything to live for, who are going to work in high tech and all the rest of it, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids who are all on Instagram. Not to say they can't fight, guys, but what are we doing? And we're sending them against actually seasoned professionals in Hamas and Islamic Jihad. These are professional fighters. We're sending these kids, children, post-high school. Guys, enough with the Iron Dome. Let's finish this. Gaza, these people that are in Gaza now, they're basically Egyptian. Egypt can take some of them. Saudi can take some of them. Some of them are, Hamas. They can go to, I don't know. or Hamas supporters. They can go to the Judea and Samaria. We have to start administering Judea and Samaria. My friends, it's enough. It's enough. You know? Otherwise, we're just going to keep going like this in circles and circles, and bad PR, and then, you know, another PR stunt, more PR stunts in the media. Bibi came out yesterday, started talking. Guys, nobody cares. Nobody cares about our you know, our kid gloves war. They don't care. They don't care that there's, you know, human shields. Hamas is using human shields and using children and schools and hospitals and mosques. They don't know. My friends, nobody cares. They just, all they know is that we're bombing poor people in Gaza. That's all they know. That's all they know. That's all they want to know. That's all they say. My friends, we can end this. We can end this, and it's easier than you think. It's not easy, but it is easier than you think. Because the alternative, guys, as you've seen, is a disaster. And it's going to continue. Anyway, guys, that's all from me for now.